That's when you reach down into a hole somewhere. There's a king brown snake waiting there. There's a king brown snake waiting there.
Hi, I'm Les Stroud, creator of Survivor Man, and welcome to this session of training and tutorial videos from Sony Creative Software. Now, these sessions are designed to show you the techniques and the tools you need to survive your next video editing sessions. The same tools that make Sony Vegas Pro software an integral part of my own production studios. Now, these tutorials are meant to not only help you survive
simple little acts like this that get you in the most trouble.
Your next video edit, but also help you refine your craft.
Everybody's workflow is different, though many of the tasks that we all perform in our video or audio editing applications are the same as the tasks everyone else performs. Undoubtedly, you have something in your workflow that's specific to the jobs you do. For those common tasks, like saving a file or playing the project back so you can hear or see what you've created, we've included keyboard shortcuts to make your job easier. But since it's impossible to make the perfect set of keyboard shortcuts for every user, we've built in the ability for you to customize your keyboard shortcuts, and thus create exactly the behavior you need. For instance, in Vegas Pro, the default keyboard shortcut for the Ignore Event Grouping feature is Control plus Shift plus U. And the shortcut for removing the selected events from an existing group is simply U. However, in the projects that I work on, I use the Ignore Event Grouping feature far more often than the Remove from Group feature. Therefore, I prefer that the Ignore Event Grouping function have a simpler one-key shortcut, so I've remapped my keyboard shortcuts accordingly. In this video, we'll walk through the procedure for making this and any other change to your keyboard mapping. When you're done, you'll be able to customize your keyboard shortcuts so that they give you exactly what you need. I'll use Vegas Pro for this discussion, but the process for doing this in both Acid Pro and SoundForge is nearly identical, so you'll know how to do this in each application once you've learned the techniques covered here. And don't worry, when we're done experimenting, I'll show you how to restore your system's default keyboard map so that we can experiment here without worrying that you'll mess things up for yourself when it comes time to do real work later. Let's make the change I talked about a moment ago where I want the shortcut for Ignore Event Grouping feature to be U instead of Control-Shift-U. To open the Customize Keyboard dialog box, choose Options, Customize Keyboard. In this dialog box, you can check to see what a feature's current keyboard shortcut is, and change it if you want to. You can see that the keyboard map setting is currently default. We'll leave that as it is for now and come back to it later. The dialog box contains a list of commands and each command's existing keyboard shortcut, if the command has one, and not all do. You can scroll through the list to see what's there. The 8 labels above the shortcut list are actually buttons that enable you to sort the list so that you don't have as many shortcuts to look through. For instance, if you want to see just the shortcuts that work when the Explorer window has focus, click the Explorer button. The list updates to show just Explorer-related shortcuts. To quickly find the feature that you want to work with, in this case the Ignore Event Grouping feature, type the feature into the Show Commands Containing field. So, since we want to remap the Ignore Event Grouping feature, type Ignore into the field. Often just one word or even a partial word for that feature gets you what you want. Once you type Ignore, the list shows just the features that have the word Ignore in their names. In this case, just the Ignore Event Grouping feature that we want to work with. Notice that some of the buttons have been grayed out and disabled. That indicates that the word that you sorted by, in this case Ignore, doesn't exist in any of the commands under those categories. Click on each of the active buttons and you'll see that the list is the same for each of these buttons. It contains only the Options Ignore Event Grouping command in each case. Sometimes, however, the list will change. For instance, enter the word Save into the Show Commands Containing field. The Explorer and Trimmer categories remain active, which indicates that they both contain at least one command with the word Save in the name. Click the Explorer button and notice that it contains an extensive list of commands whose names contain the word Save. Now click the Trimmer button, and you see that there are far fewer commands in the Trimmer feature list that contain the word Save in the names. Type ignore into the Show Commands Containing field again and click the Track View button. You can see in the list of commands that the shortcut for the Ignore Event Grouping command is indeed Control-Shift-U. Now click the Explorer button. The shortcut disappears from the list. This indicates that when the Explorer window has focus, there is no shortcut for the Ignore Event Grouping command. In fact, the only time a shortcut exists for this command is when you've given focus to your track view, that is, your project's timeline. Click the Track View button again so you can see the shortcut. Now let's change the shortcut. Click the command in the list to select it. The command's current shortcut appears in the Shortcut Keys field. The Shortcut Currently Assigned To field lists the details of the command and its shortcut. To remove the shortcut from the command, click the Remove button. The Shortcut Keys field is now empty, and the shortcut has also disappeared from the command list above. To assign the shortcut again, click to place your cursor inside the Shortcut Keys field. Now type the keyboard combination that you want to assign to this command. For now, let's add the same keyboard shortcut back to this command. Press the Control, Shift, and U keys. As you press them, the keys are added to the Shortcut Keys field. Once you have them there, click the Add button. The shortcut has now been reassigned to the Ignore Event Grouping command. Now that gets us back to where we started. It isn't really necessary to add the shortcut back in order to change its assignment to something new. I just wanted to show you how to use all of the buttons. Now let's change the shortcut to something new. Click to place your cursor in the Shortcut Keys field again. The cursor flashes at the end of the cursor shortcut. Now type U to enter U into the field. You can see that you have not yet changed the shortcut in the command list. You can also see in the information field at the bottom of the dialog box that Vegas Pro warns you that U already exists for the shortcut for a different command, the Remove Event from Group command that we talked about earlier. Both the Add and Replace buttons are available. Don't do this now, but if you wanted to add U as an additional shortcut for the Ignore Event Grouping command, you would click the Add button. This would give you two shortcuts that both lead to the Ignore Event Grouping command, the original Control-Shift-U shortcut and the new U shortcut that you just created. Instead, let's say you want only the one shortcut for the Ignore Event Grouping command. Click the Replace button. This replaces the command's current shortcut, Control-Shift-U, with the new one, U. It's important to realize that in both cases, when you assign U as the shortcut for the Ignore Event Grouping command, you remove U as the shortcut for the Remove Event from Group command. In fact, that command now has no shortcut at all. But you can use these same techniques to assign a new shortcut to that command. Now you have a new map for your keyboard commands. What happens if you share an editing station with a partner? Or what if you have to travel to a client's office and edit on his computer running the same application? Well, since you use a non-standard keyboard map, the one you just created, you or your partner might run into frustration if she prefers the default keyboard map, or perhaps a custom one of her own. The solution is to save your custom map so that you can load it and unload it whenever you need to. To do so, click the Save As button at the top of the dialog box. Give your new map a name and click OK. Now, click the Keyboard Map drop-down arrow. In the list, you see the default map as well as any other maps you've saved. To get back to the default map, choose Default from the list. If, as I suggested earlier, you want to take your custom map to a different editing station, open Windows Explorer and go to C, Documents and Settings, Username, Application Data, Sony, Vegas Pro 8.0 if you're using Windows XP, or C, Users, Username, App Data, Roaming, Sony, Vegas Pro 8.0 in Windows Vista. Of course, I'm using Vegas Pro, so if you're using Acid Pro or SoundForge, you'll navigate to the appropriate folder for that application. Also note that the Application Data folder in XP and the App Data folder in Vista are hidden folders, so you'll have to tell Windows to show hidden folders before you can see them. Copy the INI file that has the name you gave the new map to a removable hard drive. Then copy the INI file from the hard drive to the same location on the other computer and restart your application. The new keyboard map is now available for use on that computer. If you've been experimenting and no longer want to keep the map you've created, select it from the Keyboard Map drop-down list and click the Delete button. Click Yes to confirm the map's deletion. Now that you know these techniques, you can create a completely customized keyboard map that works with your habits and workflow.
Now, I may have to survive out in the wild, but when it comes to meeting my next production deadline, it's Vegas Pro that is my most valuable survival tool. Thanks for watching. Check out more of this series for valuable techniques.